Welcome, everybody, to a wonderful conversation of if not now, when. Kunle and I love hosting these conversations, especially focusing on issues that are important to be addressed in the developing world. We don't realize, and the developed world doesn't realize, there is more than 4 billion people in the developing part of the world that is comprising of Asia, Africa, and South America. We are the massive humanity. We are the largest market for all the global manufacturers and service providers. And yet we tend to be the forgotten or the taken advantage of, and we are the ones who are left behind in the economic ballgame, in the social progress ballgame, and the education and overall wellness and healing and living a good life ballgame. But yet we have the resources of the world. We have the ability to help ourselves and lift each other up. And today we're going to talk about the importance of thriving through servant leadership for global impact. Welcome, Kunle, and thank you so much for joining this conversation with me and helping me co-lead this dialogue.
As always, Dr. Kaz, it's a pleasure to co-host this with you. And the conversations that we do have are absolutely not for a moment, because they are monumental. These are conversations that will definitely permeate the society, permeate the community, permeate individuals, and create a long-lasting change that we have all been pushing for. Let me use that word. We have long awaited that time, but the time is now, just like the entire title of this program that we keep doing is, if not now, when. The future, like they say, is not a time zone. It doesn't belong to a space. It's what we call it. It's where we call it as well. So the time has come for us to do what we have to do and bring all our resourcefulness together in order to push for what we want and how the society is going to be. It's good to be here.
Beautifully said, Kunle. The thing I love about you and this community we're building here is we're not just talking and walking away. We are sharing our thoughts and our blueprints, and then behind the scenes, we're building and we're working together. And that is the journey we want our audience to take with us, because this is not a thought experiment, and this is not a vocal exercise for the recording purposes. We are in the process of creating a lived experience. We are in the process of building the future that we believe we deserve. And one of the most important things we want everybody to take from this and join our cause, join our journey, is we are the change we're waiting for, and none of us can do this alone. We can each maybe work with our communities in our little corner and make it happen, but that's what the big boys and girls want us to do. You all go play separately so that you are not big enough and not impactful enough to truly make a global change. But we know better. We know better when each of our little teams come together and we become a larger 4 billion plus community. Nobody can stand in our way. Nobody can stop us. And our power comes from those of us from different parts of the world, different societies, coming together, knowing that our perspectives may be different, our experiences may be different, but our cause, our mission, and the impact we are trying to make, and the impact we need to make, is singular. So Kunle, as we get started to talk about how do we bring about the servant leadership to make this cause come alive, talk to us about what you are doing in Nigeria, across your communities, in various African neighborhood communities and countries, and we'll build it from there.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Kaz. That's so apt. The introduction that you have laid had really created like a foundation for me to rest on as we continue this conversation. And I know it's definitely going to be a great one, talking about what I do and then how it relates to, the topic at hand today, which is servant leadership. It's so important for me to start from the fact that this is all about let's do this together and not do this, because there's a form of leadership that has to do with do this, but there is one form which is a servant leadership that I know that in one word is just to coin it with a phrase, let's do this together. And that's what I have been doing in several projects that I got involved. My own vision is to see a united Africa. My own vision is to see a collaborative Africa, not an Africa that is being exploited or explored by a set of people, and not an Africa that's been plagued by bad leadership in one way or the other. And the time has come for us to understand that it is within our own rights, it is within our own capacity to stand and do what we need to do in order to pull this through. Now, the fact remains that this is one of the conversations I had with my brother, who is also on this event today, earlier on, in the day, and we were talking about people looking forward to leaders to create the change that we need. The time has come for us to realize that these are the people who are taking us this far. And it's so obvious that their vision, their mission, their aims, their objective, their desire, desirations, and everything are so much parochial, myopic, and they are so self-centered in one way or the other. And no matter how much you push for change from them, it might not come, because somehow all the things I've mentioned, they are right in their DNA. So the change we crave for might not be like a top-bottom change, rather, but a bottom-top, whereby each and every one of us will begin to now take that leadership, to know that we have that service to do, we have that connection, we have that network to build, to help one another create what we are supposed to do, be it in whatever space that we are operating. Some of the projects that I do have to do with collaboration with other people from different parts of the world, creating awareness, sensitization, very important, because it's a form of education. We spoke earlier in the morning, and we were talking about how educating people properly and then empowering their mind would be a great tool to achieving what we want to achieve in the countries that you mentioned in your introduction, Dr. Carr. So it's about building the community together. It's about recognizing what it means to serve and then what service means to us. Because I used to tell people that when we talk about service, the meaning it generates is what's definitely going to determine how people will view it. And that meaning is going to also create the emotion to serve or not in one way or the other. So does it mean something is taken away from you, that service, or does it mean you are adding value to things? If you view it in those two ways, in any of those two ways, it's definitely going to generate different meanings. But to me, to serve means to add value. And when I'm adding value, I do that happily. It generates a lot from me, a feel-good hormone that will make me want to do more to impact the society. And these are like the platform or the framework of so many projects that I have been doing, collaborating with people, then people like you, Dr. Cass, people like James, and people like Josephine, that we will do together in order to build a formidable structure whereby we help one another, not looking forward to seeing someone who will come as our own Messiah. Dr. Cass.
Beautifully said, Kunle, and with such passion and such conviction. And that's what I love about this community we're building, because we know the help is not going to come from outside. We are the help. And in that is the knowledge that no one of us are more important than the other. We're all equal parts of a whole, and each of us finish up the puzzle piece, right? We are each important to be a part of the picture so that the puzzle piece is put together and there are no open spots. We were all created uniquely for this moment. And as you were talking about service, what comes to my mind is these ancient stories that are passed on from person to person. Think about the plants in your community, in your own backyard. If you are blessed to be in a property where there is a mango tree, there's a banana tree, there is a jackfruit tree, I'm just naming all the tropical fruits that I love to eat. If you're in a cooler climate, maybe it's apples, maybe it's pears, but you didn't plant them. Somebody else planted them, somebody else watered them, somebody else pruned and nurtured them so that you could get the benefit. That's what service is. The joy of doing what you do, knowing that you are planting trees so that others can have shade, others can have flowers, others can have fruit. And when you approach service that way, you will find that the reward you get is so fulfilling, fills up your heart bank first. It fills up your relationship bank second. And when your heart bank is filled and your relationship bank is filled, then you have the network to build what you need to build to thrive. And in the process, you're lifting everybody up. So to me, the image that comes to my mind is if we each plant 2 or 3 trees, imagine the beautiful garden we are going to have across this 4 billion plus population. As we talk about this, I would love to invite James into the conversation because Kunle, James and I have been talking about how do we bring this collaboration together and how do we hook up the different organizations and different activity so that while we do our craft, we are united in the mission, we're united in the purpose, and we consciously lift each other up. James.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cass. And wow, what an insightful comment you just made there, Dr. Cass. And I love the analogy that you use about our garden, maybe vegetation as well. And that's really reminds me of the famous speaker and author, which is the Simon Sinek. It says that the great leaders are willing to sacrifice the numbers to save the people, and poor leaders sacrifice the people to save numbers. So I believe that when we talk about community, or we talk about development or our contributions to developing countries, it all comes down to people. And in order for us to see that change, we have to embrace the power of collaboration rather than competition, and cooperation. So for me, which Dr. Kunle said earlier, it's really, really resonate with my vision and my mission of what I do currently and how I've been trying to connect with people to see how we can come together to bring change in our developing countries. And what I'm busy with now is to see how we can create an alliance for people that are more closer to the vulnerable people in our community, which is the humanitarian organizations. I believe that if we do, I believe that our tomorrow starts today. So yesterday has passed and tomorrow is promising, but the only time that we have right now is the time that we have right now that we can really bring the change. And how do we do that is to start building the generational leader today. The change that we want to see, we don't have to depend on the government, on the big, the political leader, but within our community, within where we are right now, we have the resources, we have the people that we can bring together, that we can bring ideas together, that we can be the voice behind the change that we want to see and start making a way to see how we can implement that change. So, and I would just like to just say, just to read my quote that I put together for that is inspired by my by the mission, by the organization that we are working on. And it's so good today because both Dr. Cass and Kunle, you guys are profoundly behind me on this mission. And I was just, last month I just sat down, I was just doing my research, and the idea just came to my mind, and I started putting the words together. And the world will fail us sometimes. So, and here I come up with a quote that says that, let's imagine a world where the essence of humanity in its most authentic form intertwines seamlessly with the pursuit of greatness, with pursuit of seeing a change, a positive change. It is a world where collaboration surpasses competition, where compassion reigns supreme, and where every achievement is a collective victory. So like all different kinds of fruit comes together to serve us in this ecosystem. So this is the world where we can create through the profound magic of human connection. So which also comes down to people. So this is my passion, and this is the change I want to see, bringing people together to see how we can implement that change, bring that change, and stop blaming the people, blaming the leaders, the political leaders. We are the change, we are the people. And if we want to see the change, we have to start embracing collaboration.
That makes my heart smile. And this is why I do what I do, James. You're a much younger gentleman than I am, the old lady. And for me, the joy is to spark that passion and bring it to life and facilitate that so that we see it grow. So you have my commitment and Kunle's commitment, and the three of us are committed to not just helping bring this to life, but we are going to meet up in Africa next year. And we're actually going to do on the ground activity. And I am super so stoked. I need to see Asia. I'm South Asian, I'm Sri Lankan. And my part of the world and your part of the world, Africa, and I'm currently working in Central and South America. These three worlds need to come together. We need to see our success in each other's success. And the alliance you're building, James, is going to be part of the cornerstone of that. So thank you. Thank you for taking this journey with us, because the way you're taking the journey itself is your mission, your message. Kunle,
that was absolutely heartwarming, James. It was so heartwarming. And I mean, I've seen what you are about to release, not only in Africa, but in the global scene, and it is massive. As we were talking in the morning, I made mention of something, and you made mention of it also while you were talking, that we're looking at a political class to create a change, but now the focus is changing a little bit to ourselves, whereby we take the bull by the horn and then see how we can put our destinies right in our hands, not just because what you are building is Destiny Connect Foundation, but we have a destiny to put in our own hands to forge ahead and do what we have to do, so that the political class will have no other option than to look down and say, wow, it seems we are losing our relevance. But what we need to do now is either we be part of this particular project these people are building, or we are thrown out of the society entirely. And I made mention of a joke that someone had, a while ago, and it was a joke about a man who was looking for a job, and he got an interview in a place. And when the interviewer asked him, the man answered and said, they changed the address without telling me. I mean, the time has come for us to change the address without telling the political class, because what that means is we are going to build relevance with what we have, build community, begin to provide, begin to support one another, begin to create things, begin to build community, begin to do agricultural, agricultural products, bring them out, and those resources are useful. begin to create employment, begin to support one another's vision, one another's job. And it would dawn on them that the address is changing and they either shape in or shape out. Dr. Kaz.
Beautifully said. And both of you make my heart smile so much. And every time we talk, I am so energized. You know, and this community knows, I come from a world of finance. While I come from a very poor country, I was also taught the value of money and how to manage money. And that is one of the elements we want to introduce into the psychology of people. We don't need to have money to make money, but if we have a wealth mindset, because wealth is not money, wealth is so much larger than money. And if we are able to transform the mindset to a wealth mindset, and we can plant the seeds of wellness, of community, of relationships, of knowledge and wisdom, skills and humanity. And when we put all of those together, then the money comes. Money is the byproduct of getting everything done right. And I am looking forward to creating that mindset change by showing everybody through storytelling and tools and training on how to develop the art of wealth mindset. It is the one thing that is always elusive to developing countries, because everybody tells you that you need money to make money. But wealth is not about money. Understanding that wealth is much larger, wealth is generational, wealth is uplifting. To me, that is part of the foundation of this journey. And I'm super excited that we are going to be taking that.
So on point, Dr. Kaz, like you said, I mean, what you said about money reminds me of what Tony Robbins says, that some people are so poor, all they have is money. I mean, money is at the base. You need money to do things, no doubt about it. But what you need to do to really run whatever you're doing is much more important than money itself. Money, like you said, is just a byproduct. And like I do say, that resourcefulness trumps resources anytime, any day, because the resources you have that you don't know how to use definitely will not be valuable just, in any time. So that's why it's important for us to dig deep, bring out the best in ourselves and see how we can connect the dots together and come together in order to make the world a better place.
Yes.
I don't know if Josephine has a thought.
Thank you, Dr. Cass. Thank you, Kunle and James, for having me in this meeting. Actually, it was just impromptu, and not knowing the topic, because I just wanted to listen to people. I just wanted to listen to, I know, because where we have Kunle, I know there's a substance there. So I am Josephine Akenuwa. So if I heard you well, I think the topic is the servant leadership, right?
Yes.
Okay. So and I heard Dr. Cass says something. He said, she said, we are not just doing it just in our corner. Whatever your sphere of influence, you are not just doing it in the corner. We need to leave the corner and go global, because people think is when you have money or you are influential, that's when you can go global with what you want, and to create, to really put out what you have there in order to help humanity. You understand? So that is what I understand by, and I heard that James says something. Actually, I just wanted to ask a question. So I need to understand the vision and the mission of what you are into, first and foremost. Because if I'm interested in a project, I need to understand the vision and the mission of the project. So let me ask that question first.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, James.
All right, thank you so much, Josephine. All right, I love what you said about going global, and not just by the corner, not just by the, by the backyard of our house, or just by in our own rooms, or in our own just comfortable comfort zone. So yeah, the organization is a non-profit organization, and it's an umbrella to help other non-profit organizations around the world, specifically in Africa, to have equitable access to resources and education. And as Dr. Kaz profoundly put earlier on, that we can have all the resources in this life. We can have all the money. It was Kunle, that we can have all the money, but if we don't have the right education, that resources can go to waste. So we want to help non-profit organization leaders around the world to leverage that success, to leverage that humanitarian organization that can really help to bring change into our communities, and also help them to have access to equitable resources. I mean, in terms of funding, in terms of educating themselves on how to be a great leader, and also to build the next generational leader. So that is the mission of this organization. It's a non-profit organization, and but our aim is to make sure that we foster a community of like-minded and thought leaders across the globe, especially in humanitarian organizations.
Thank you for that, James.
Thank you, James.
So to add to your question, Josephine, Kunle, James, and I, and the others who are part of this community, we are each doing what we need to do, but we don't want to stop there. Okay, one of the things I have seen in the world, living and growing up in Sri Lanka, in India, working in Europe, and working in the United States, the patriarchal Anglo-Saxon power is very good at saying, oh, we will create a Chinese association, an Indian association, a Nigerian association, a Caribbean association. And it appears to be diversity, but it is separation. I live in the city of Chicago, one of the most diverse cities in the world, but every community lives in its own pocket. There's Greek village, there's Ukrainian village, there's Chinatown, there is India town. We are together, but yet separate. The longer we allow that to be the status quo, we can never come together to rise above, because we are too busy focused on our pockets. So my role, my purpose, my mission as a businesswoman, as a finance executive and a change maker, alongside being an educator, is to start breaking those barriers. Somebody who looks like me doesn't step out of their money-making environment to go and help somebody who looks like James or looks like Kunle or looks like you. That is the world we have inherited, right? We didn't make it, we've inherited it. But the only way to change it, I don't want to tell everybody walk across the line. I want to be the one walking across the line. I want to be seen side by side, giving a hug to James when I see him, giving a hug to Kunle when I see him, and side by side, holding hands, we build together. And even if before we meet in person, we build together virtually, because thank God for technology, right? COVID has taught us the richest people are people who are resilient, richest people who are people who can pivot and who can grow their own food, think for themselves and figure out a way out. People with money had no food, couldn't get anybody to come into their homes to fix their pipes or their electric things that broke, nothing. Money can't give you everything, but commitment to one another can give us everything. And how do we showcase that? How do we create that lived experience? so that just like COVID was contagious, our collective power can be contagious. And to me, that is my mission. So whether I'm helping people write and get their stories out and internationally make it visible, bring it into the business world, try and get funding, try and support, all of these are things we can do. None of us are an island, and we are building bridges. And for the purpose of this, if not now, when community, our mission is just that. We're building bridges today, and we are taking down the separations that were put in place yesterday. And how we look, and how we sound, and how we worship, and how we love don't matter. The very essence of our souls and our spirits matter, and we're going to lift it up. Kunle.
Thank you, Dr.
Wow. That was absolutely, that was mind-blowing, Dr. Cass. I'm just catching my breath. That was wonderful. That means that's just what we are sold out to. We're sold out to building a community and then putting an organized approach to it, just like what James wants to do with what he's building. Because we've had a lot of people who are doing fantastic things, wonderful things, amazing things all across the world. Like James was saying to me, earlier today when we met, that if you aggregate the resources that goes into humanitarian services, not for profit, all together, all over, and you make that like a country, that the humanitarian country, so to speak, now will be like the fifth, if I'm not mistaken, the fifth richest country in the world. The fifth, to tell you the resources that goes into this. Yet we still have poor people on the street. We still have people who are going to bed without the hope of the next meal to eat. People who are living under the bridge. People still live on the street, even in the most urban areas in different countries of the developing nations. Even in the most developing world, there was a man who is a musician who traveled from Africa and went to, there are still beggars in those parts of the world. So this is even a global issue. But what we are trying to do now is that all these resources, there is a way, even in our mini environment, in our mini ecosystem, we can create an organized approach. How do we now make meaning of those resources that we're having? How do we put it together in order to help one another in one way or the other? Solve, hunger crisis, solve the climate issue, solve an unemployment issue, solve issues about production and consumption. How do we do this? This is what we are set out to doing. And we are going to put that approach together, and we're going to pull resourcefulness and resources and then people who are going to drive it together so that we achieve all these things together. Because the truth is, just like Dr. Cass said, what she mentioned earlier on, very important, it is not about us. Most of the leaders we have today, and that is not found in servant leadership. Most of the leaders we have today, they want to do things and take the glory. And then, that means it's all about them. I want to be the one to do this. I want to be the one to do that. But we are building a community that will outlast us. We are building systems that will go beyond and will be transgenerational. Just like the analogy Dr. Cass gave in that Asian story of somebody who planted, and long time after the person had gone, people were benefiting from the fruits of the plants such people planted. That is what we're doing.
Absolutely. And I love how you were able to tie all of that together, Kunle. And I love your idea of a not-for-profit alliance, James, because in those practicalities is our lived experiences, right? So how do we bring this together? Even if we took a step back, imagine all the work the women around the world do every day for no pay. Because we are homemakers, we are community builders, we are the anchors of family. Do we know and do we realize the work we do for unpaid purposes is worth $1 billion a day? Imagine the economic power women collectively have. $1 billion a day, 365 days a year. That is 365 billion worth of work product we create. And we give it away for free because we live in a patriarchal structure that has told us what we do is not valuable in terms of monetary exchange. And it's only the monetary exchange that's going to buy us stuff in a transactional world. Okay? What if every woman said, I'm not doing laundry, honey. You can hire a maid. I'm not cooking and cleaning up today, honey. You can buy it from outside. Oh, by the way, I'm not having babies. You're going to have a surrogate habit because I'm not going to lose my body so that you might, leave me for a younger, trimmer, hippo woman. What if every woman took that stand, right? It happens. People with money might think they can buy everything, but there's not enough money in the world for humanity to buy all of that. So if we're doing all of that already, what if we purposefully channel it to lift each other up? Because this is not a men against women thing. There are so many good men who value women and who are going to stand side by side. And there are so many women who love and respect the men and trust the women who are taking the journey with them. All we need is love, respect, and trust. And see beyond the outer wrapping of gender, race, language, ethnicity, geography. We have the power that can scare the socks out of people. How are we going to channel it? How are we going to bring it to the world? And how do we do that collaboratively so that I don't look at what I'm going to get, but if I look at how can I understand James's mission and Kunle's mission? And if South Africa and Nigeria are working on this, how can I, a Sri Lankan woman living between Chicago and Belize, step in and add to that, show up with them and lift them up? In the process, I have a beautiful friendship. I have two brothers. Maybe one is a brother and another is a son. James is young enough to be my son. So now we have a family. We have a family. We have a bond. And that bond, nobody can break. Nobody can break. And in that unbreakable bond is truly our power.
I mean, you can drop the mic, Dr. Cass. That's absolutely insightful. That's absolutely insightful. And that's why we should keep this conversation going, as well as keep building the momentum towards the explosion that we are about to create, not only in our countries, but globally, because other people from across the world will see the shining light and they will peep and say, hey, what's going on right there? Yeah, and it is the combination of people who have come together. And that's how it is. When you create spark together, the spark doesn't really reside where it is created. It gives, and I mean, it glows and it goes beyond that immediate environment. And that spark is what we want to collectively create. And the more we begin to create it, the more we begin to precipitate what we want to do, the more it begins to scare people, the more it begins to create attention as well. And one more thing about that is that there is a way the new normal will go that will make people align with that new normal. I mean, just like COVID did now, we wanted to build a world whereby people were so far apart. But when COVID came, it told us that, hey, you can stay where you are, connect with people from different parts. That's how I got connected to Dr. Cass. In one way or the other, that's how I got connected to James. And we have people who are working and doing wonders from home. So the new normal came now, and there is a new realization. There is a new thinking, a new thought pattern, a new perception, a new perspective. And when you change all these things about men, then a whole lot will change. And that's what we want to create, to change the perspective, perception, and then to change the thought pattern of the world, what leadership is, what building communities, what building society, what creating an ecosystem is, what changing the economic status of a particular nation is. It resides in the people. It does not reside in books. We are done with the words that we read in books that will not change us. We have to take the bull by the horn. We have to take our destiny into our hands and go out there and not only talk the talk, because that's what books will make you do. But the time has come for us to walk the talk time and time again.
Absolutely, Kunle. And that's what I love about working with you. We are in the process of taking the knowledge and transferring that to lived experience and therefore create wisdom. Wisdom comes from living. Knowledge comes from reading. And if we just read, life becomes a thought experiment, but nothing actually happens. So we are building a movement that is beyond a thought experiment, that creates a lived experience. So let me share with you what I am doing in Belize in the next 2 weeks. It's summer holidays, everybody is out, but I've been working with the parents and the high school system, and my husband and I are going to run a 2-day camp. The first day is about teaching the high school students on how to understand, recognize, and manage their emotions so that they can be present and they can show up for themselves. Because life is not easy. So much is going on. And after the first day, the second day is about helping them understand their purpose. It might change as they grow, but for now, what is their purpose? How do they set goals? And how do they go after their goals? So we're doing a 2-day camp, and then 2 weeks later, we're doing that same exercise for the teachers. Because teachers are too busy trying to live life, manage their family, teach, help the students. They're not taking time to invest in themselves either. So how do we help the students, the teachers, the parents, so that they have something to commonly align against, align with, and then together they're able to lift them up? And that's the kind of work I'm looking to do with James, with Kunle, and Josephine. If you have the opportunity to engage, welcome you to do that. So any closing thoughts as we bring this to a close, James?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Wow.
I think I joined something similar last year. I don't know, Kunle invited me. I was in a similar meeting. I don't know if it's this one. But we're still discussing about humanity, helping humanity. So I'm a family life practitioner. So I am on. Yeah, I'm interested because I'm someone who believes and tell people that it's not all about money. My currency is not about the money, but it's about the end results, the impact you are going to make in people's life. You understand? So
Absolutely.
I am the one that believe in, you start from your little corner, start from your family, the community where you live, then you can, before you can go global. So it's a gradual process. So let people from your family. So if you are going to make an impact, it has to start from where you are before you move to the community, then from the community to the states, and then you can go globally. So I am on and I'm interested in that. So I like what you are doing. Actually, I just like it.
Beautiful.
Right.
And we love what you are doing. We respect and honor your impact, and we are thrilled to have you join our journey. And James, take it away.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Cass. And so So for you, Josephine, you are absolutely incredible, and you are welcome to join Dr. Cass as well in this movement. Personally, Dr. Cass has been a source of inspiration to me. Thank you so much. Since I've met you, you've really inspired me in so many ways. And again, now what you just shared with us now about helping people in Belize. A lady walked up to me about 2 months ago, and she said to me that, I don't know, I'm a doctor, but she's between the age of 25 to 35. Because I lead that community here in South Africa. I have the honor and privilege to lead that community of the age bracket of 25 to 35. And these are young professionals. And she said to me, James, I'm a doctor, but my life is a mess. I don't even know what to expect tomorrow. I make all this money in this life. I don't know my value. I don't understand my purpose. And so I was privileged to join the movement by John C. Maxwell, which is titled Change Your World. So I've learned that, and I love sharing that with people in my world. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm helping the young professionals between the age of 25 to 35 to understand their values, because if we, like what Josephine said now, charity begins at home. We have to be able to understand our own personal values before we can add values to people outside our people that are around us. So I'm helping people now to understand their values and how they can put their values into action, and so that they can make the lasting impact in the life of others and in their own life as well. So thank you so much, Dr. Cass, for this call. This is amazing, and you've been a source of inspiration, not just to us, but to everyone that will be listening to this podcast or that will be engaging with you. Thank you so much, Dr. Cass, and it's great honor to have Josephine with us this evening as well.
Thank you, James, and thank you so much, Josephine. James, you know you are near and dear to my heart. In fact, you refer to my husband as Uncle Mike. So to me, we are heart family. I always say there is blood family, and then there is heart family. And those of us who take this journey together are truly heart family. And I am honored to have you as an extension of my international family. And I truly am committed to seeing you take your mission and thrive, because when you do that, when you are successful in your mission, Kunle and I are successful in our purpose. This is why we do what we do. And this is not a competition. This is truly enabling other people's success. And I always say, I want to be this little old lady who sits on the beach or sits under a nice fruit tree, eating the fruit and saying, oh my God, look at James, how great he's doing. And look at all his little kids, all little James juniors, boys and girls. How well are they doing? What a beautiful community he has built. Here is what Josephine is doing. Oh my God, what a powerful woman. That's what we want, right, Kunle? We're older, so we want to build to last so that we can toss on and sit back and say, oh my God, what beautiful hands we've left this world in. Closing thoughts, Kunle.
Absolutely, Dr. Cass. That's what we want to build. When you build people, you build legacies. When you build people, you build dreams. And you know what you're doing things that will cut across generations, things that will be said even long after you're gone. And that is what we are sold out to doing. And by the time we keep doing what we are doing, like I said, more and more people will come in, because that's what light does. It attracts a lot of things, and that's what we are building. It doesn't matter how thick the darkness is, just a little bit of light comes in, and then it illuminates the thickest part of the darkness. And that's what we want to create in our world with what we have together. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate it.
Thank you. And remember, being a servant leader is about serving. Serve yourself. Serve yourself. Be accountable to yourself. Be reliable for yourself. And then extend it beyond you to your family, to your community, to the people around you. And remember, when you are a host, don't you always serve everybody else and sit down to eat last? That is what leadership is. You always sit down to eat last after making sure everybody has a beautifully served plate. So let's build that beautiful world where we all sit down together, literally and metaphorically, to share a meal, to enjoy, embrace, and truly, truly love what we do, love one another, and love life, because that no amount of money can buy.